Imagine a warrior so heavily armored that a single fall means he's stuck on the ground like a flipped turtle, legs flailing, waiting for an enemy to end his life with a simple dagger. Imagine a man so encumbered by steel that he needs a massive wooden crane just to be hoisted onto his horse. We've seen it in movies, read it in satirical novels, and laughed at the clumsy knights of the past. But everything you think you know about medieval armor is a lie. Today, we're unlocking the truth about the most sophisticated piece of military hardware in history. Welcome to Time Unlocked. The first thing we have to kill is the weight myth. When people see a suit of steel in a museum, they imagine it's an unbearable burden. But let's look at the numbers. A complete suit of field armor from the 15th century typically weighed between 33 and 55 pounds. To put that in perspective, a modern firefighter or a specialized soldier in the field today often carries between 60 and 100 pounds of gear. The difference is in the distribution. A modern soldier carries most of that weight in a backpack, pulling on the shoulders and spine. A knight's armor was tailored to his exact body measurements. It was the ultimate bespoke suit. The weight was spread from the helmet down to the steel shoes, or sabatons. Because the weight was distributed across the entire skeleton, the center of gravity remained stable. This allowed for a level of agility that seems impossible to us today. This was the absolute pinnacle of medieval engineering. Every joint, the elbows, the knees, the neck, was a complex system of sliding plates and leather straps designed for maximum range of motion. Master armorers spent years perfecting these designs. It wasn't just metal plates, it was a second skin. Beneath the steel, the knight wore a padded garment called a gambeson. This wasn't just for comfort, it acted as a shock absorber. Without it, the energy from a mace blow would vibrate through the steel and shatter the knight's bones. Historians and modern martial artists have put this technology to the test. In recent experiments, men in historically accurate plate armor were filmed performing sprints, vaults, and even floor-to-ceiling climbing. They could mount a horse from the ground with a single leap. In combat, this meant a knight wasn't a slow-moving target, he was a fast, lethal, and nearly invulnerable force of nature. They were trained in a style of fighting called harnischfechten, which involved wrestling, high kicks, and precision strikes with the sword's pommel. So where did the crane myth come from? It actually started in the late 19th century. Victorian writers, trying to portray the Middle Ages as primitive and ridiculous, invented stories about knights being hoisted into the air. This was later cemented in pop culture by Mark Twain's A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court and early Hollywood films. The only cranes that ever existed were used in very specific, heavy tournament games where the armor was 3 times thicker than battle armor, because it only had to withstand one specific type of hit. In a real war, a knight who couldn't stand up or mount his horse by himself was a dead man. On a real battlefield, a knight was the equivalent of a modern main battle tank. The steel was often heat-treated to a hardness that could deflect most arrows and sword strikes effortlessly. To kill a knight in full plate, you couldn't just swing a sword wildly. You had to be an expert in anatomy, looking for the tiny gaps in the armpit or the visor. These men were the professional athletes of their day. They trained from the age of 7 as pages and squires, conditioning their bodies to move in the steel skin as naturally as we move in a t-shirt. They weren't victims of their equipment, they were empowered by it. When you look at a knight, don't see a tin can. See the most dangerous, technologically advanced, and agile warrior of the medieval world. Thank you for joining us as we set the record straight on the heroes of the Middle Ages. If you believe history is more fascinating than the movies, subscribe to Time Unlocked and share this video to help us keep the past alive. If you lived in the Middle Ages, would you have the stamina to wear the steel? Let us know in the comments below.